Right, let us start from the previous program. Actually, just stuck here, right? Percentage D, I have given percentage comma percentage D, whereas in a normal compiler, you're not supposed to use commas, right? So when I run it, so I have to provide two values, 2, 3. So the output is fine. Now, what happens here is we are taking a value called A, and we are just taking a value called B here, and those are from the structures, and we are creating an object to call the variables from the structures. And inside the main function, I'm just creating a variable called C in a form of integer and assigning a value called 0. And I'm just giving an information to the user to provide two values. And both the values are in the form of integer. So we are just using percentage %t and percentage %t. And C equal to object.a plus object.b. That's the so the value which has been provided by the user, and that values get printed. And the next example is we are going to use characters and float. Okay. Now we have an other example. So we create a structure called a student. So the structure, when we say it's a structure, definitely we should have a keyword called a struct here, and student. Student is a structure name, and have an int ID, character, data type, and the variable name is name, and 50 characters we are going to include. And the next variable is called as float marks. And now we are not going to provide any object declaration here in this part, right? We are going to create the object declaration inside the main function. And the syntax for creating an object inside the main function is struct structure name object name. So struct structure name object name. And directly we are going to provide the values with this with its reference inside the curly bracket. So open a curly bracket. The first value is integer value. So we are providing integer value. And the next is about characters or set of strings or set of characters are called strings. But in C programming, we don't use the name called a string because we don't have string here. We use a name called as character. But in C programming, we have a string functions, but not individually. We don't tell it's in a string, right? Even there, we get the values in a form of characters in a form of array. Then the last value is marks, float marks, 89.5. Now we are just going to print the values as such what we provided inside the object. We are not going to assign using any other variable. S1.id equal to 1 is not been declared. S1.name equal to John is not given. S1.marks are not given. We are just getting the values via the reference called as curly bracket, right? Whenever the objects are assigned, you can assign the values as such. And printf ID equal to percentage %d and name is equal to percentage %s because it's going to be a set of characters. So we have to provide this in percentages and marks 0.25 and s1.id. Whenever you print this is what very important, right? Because when we get some values or assign some values, we use s1.id, s1.name, s1.marks, but that has not been true here, right? Because we are not going to get the values using assigning operators. We are just assigning with a single variable with its reference. But when you print the values, you are supposed to give the identifiers s1.id. S1 is nothing but the object name. So s1.id, s1.name, s1.marks, and return 0. Very important because we have used the main function in the form of integer. Integer without using void. Right? If we use void, definitely we don't want to put any return here. But other than void, definitely we have to return some values. So when I run it, I get a value called 1 John 89.50. Rather than if suppose if I wanted to change any values, I can change because up to 50 values, 50 characters, we can use it. Right? This is one of the good examples here. And what happens? What happens if I do it? Nothing. Nothing wrong is there, right? So s1 dot I d equal to 2, right? For time period, I'm just going to change the value of ID. Let's see what happens. So ID gets updated. That's it. There's no more differences, right? Fine. And the other way we are going to access or send the data. Let me take this printf statement along for my next example. Fine. We are supposed to use main function. Let me take int main. So what I have to do? I have to return 0. Fine. And I have created a structure called point. Struct point. Point is the structure name and int x comma y. So I have two variables x and y in the form of integer. I'm not going to declare. I'm going to provide any object, right? Okay, I'm just going to declare it globally, right? So how to create an object? So structure name, object name. Whenever an object is created, I'm just going to pass the value as such 10 comma 20. And again, I'm creating another pointer. I'm going to create another object called as p2. So struct point p2, which is equal to dot y equal to 50 and dot x equal to 25. Right. What is the meaning of dot? What is the meaning of dot x here? Okay, let me tell you. So x is equal to percentage d, and let me take this and let me put y is equal to percentage d, and this is p1 dot x and p1 dot y. Let me first print the value of x and y. So the value of x is 10, the value of y is 20. With respect to the value of 10 and 20 is to p1 alone, right? The object p1 carries the value of 10 and 20, right? Now if I put this as p2, let us check what happens here. For my reference and for our reference, I have just given this. Fine. Let me put slash and hello because fine. According to this line, according to line number 7, so we are creating an object called as p1 where x represents 10 and y represents 20. But in the structure, right, in the structures, we are giving dot y. Dot y is an object dot operator reference material, right? You can just y refers to 50 and x refers to 25. Very simple, right? Because we assign a value, but if I don't put this, for example, if I don't put this, if I call this, so obviously what happens? Y carries 50 and sorry, x carries 50 and y carries 25, right? But I just wanted to mention the value of y is 50 and the value of x is 25. So that's the reason we are just bringing out dot y equal to 50 and dot x equal to 25. And you may have a doubt. Why not? Why do we wanted to fix dot operator in the syntax? Is it obviously required? Is it definitely required? For our reference, I'm just bringing out fine because as per the syntax, when you wanted to pass some values towards reference, right? The dot operator is definitely required here, right? So let me comment this and double slash is for commenting a single line. Fine, great. And next, the important concept. And we are moving to array of structures. Usually we have seen arrays apart, structures apart. Now we are just going to combine arrays and structure into a single group. How far the arrays can be used inside the structure and how far it is going to be highly important for us. Okay. So,
person you have called is speaking to someone else. You can wait or call again.